can you tell me some common legal mistakes that can destroy business, especially a small business?
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, let's talk about your family's business.
Oh my God.
So shameless plug, Abe's family business is incredibly successful, and it happened almost overnight. I mean, there was a long bit of lean times, and it just blew up overnight. And you'll find small businesses that happens all the time. You're just putzing along, barely keeping the light bill on, and then the dam breaks open, and you're just making money hand over fist. So that fleshed out a mistake that we found 15 years prior that was done that cost almost $2 million total to fix.
Not 15 years prior at this time. This was about 10 years prior.
So about 10 years prior. Yeah, at the time, it was about 10 years prior was a mistake that happened that cost almost $2 million to rectify. And by that, I mean literally Abe and his family would have had $2 million more dollars physically in their bank accounts. So, a significant chunk of change. I mean, if that's not,
I'm about to cry again.
Yeah, if that's not a big number to you, then let me trade places with you. But here's some things you can do legally. Number one is trying to structure your own business legally. Now, my problem with LegalZoom is not that they provide you the opportunity to do things. It's that they convince you that you can do it right. Most of the things I can do as a lawyer, if you had enough time and understanding, you could do yourself. But there's no value in you spending 3 or 4 years to learn how to do it right. LegalZoom will tell you this is what we're doing. And I'm not picking on LegalZoom necessarily. Any of these self-help websites will tell you that choosing a legal entity and forming it yourself is the most unimportant thing your business will ever do.
I'm going to pull up another one.
It's wrong. Well, there's Rocket Lawyer, there's DocStock, there's a million of them. It is the most important thing you can do. It is day zero, the absolute foot fault. So the $2 million mistake was because something was done thinking LegalZoom will tell you the right thing. And LegalZoom is smart, and all of them are. They'll say, we are not a law firm. We are not giving legal advice. Before you click the credit card button to pay, they will say, you should print this out and take it to a lawyer first. And the problem is, their marketing makes you think, oh, it's so easy to do, and it's easy to form things, but they don't tell you what the repercussions are for forming the wrong thing. So the very first thing you can do wrong is forming a business yourself and forming it incorrectly, because there's a lot of follow-on to that. You can make the wrong tax elections and overpay in taxes. You can violate the securities laws and wind up in prison because you took money from investors the wrong way. Or you could just lack the management flexibility to say, hey, we need to buy a truck for the business, and the business entity you chose won't let you say, let's go buy a truck. You've got to jump through all these legal hurdles to go buy the truck. So that's the first thing you can do. The second thing is, again, trying to bootstrap contracts when real money is involved, right? A lot of people, particularly solopreneurs, will say, hey, my service is $100, $200, and we have a contract, and you're never really ever going to get sued over it, and even if you did, it's $200. Well, I still think it's a good practice to go to a lawyer, but if I had to charge you $500 for a contract and people are only spending $100 with you, you're probably okay. But if you're getting into some real business, or that $100 at a time, you're doing 100 clients a month, it's very important to have these things planned out so the rights and responsibilities between you and your customer are known, and the most important thing is how you're going to get paid is known, and what happens if you don't get paid is known. And these are things that can fundamentally just run your business into the ground. You'll be going along, and then you'll run into a brick wall.
Yeah, this is a big one where you start the business and maybe it's really lean times, and so you kind of brush over these legal or even accounting
absolutely structures,
or proper documents, and then, hey, your business is actually successful, and all of this foundation of your business is really shaky. Whether lack of trademarks, companies that run and operate without having their logo and name trademarked, no copyright protection, no patent protection, or like you were bringing up, contracts which are bad, but they actually represent a sizable chunk of the business at this point.
That's right.
And it sounds like these are all expenses. And I think the difference of what I realized at one point was that the legal team is not an expense. They're a part of the team. They're an investment, and they sit at the same table with me as marketing and sales and so forth.
And that's an important point to make. Fundamentally, this is not legal advice. It's small b business advice. You have to think like a business owner and be willing to invest money and capital and things and time that will pay you back later, and understand the difference between an investment and a capital investment and an expense. Everything that requires money or time is not necessarily expense. Some of them are necessary. And the accounting you bring up is very important. Here's a problem I have with like QuickBooks and things like that. They're fantastic, but they're just like Excel. Excel will let you plug anything you want in, and when you hit enter, it will do something. But unless you know that something is right, it won't tell you you messed up. It will say, if you put junk data in, I'll give you junk data out, but I won't tell you it was junk. So a lot of people, like you said, by the time they get successful, they have 2 or 3 years of operating history that just has to be fixed, basically. And hopefully you can fix it before the IRS comes. But you're going to have to find a competent attorney and a competent CPA to unwind these things and reconstruct it all. And a lot of times that's more money than it would have cost to go on day 0 and say, hey, CPA, I'm this solopreneur, I'm this small bootstrapped business. You know, do you have like $100 a month plan to make sure I'm doing it right? And by that I mean, you'll make my filings for me, I'll do my day-to-day accounting, and you'll check every month to make sure my accounting's not incorrect. And if it is, you'll tell me so that I don't ever do it wrong again. And honestly, I'll tell you this, if you don't think that you have the money to hire a lawyer to start the business right and a CPA to at least guide you and teach you how to do the accounting, you don't need to go into business yet. You're at a hobby phase, or you're at a save your money to start phase. Because the problem, particularly with independent contractors and employees, is the IRS waits 2 years before they come get you. So you'll be doing business for 2 years, and let's say the IRS said, well, you owed $1,000 for year 1. Well, you could have paid that, but they come to you in year 3 and they say you owe $25,000 for year 1 and 2 combined. Well, a lot of people don't necessarily have that $25,000 laying around, and the IRS for employment taxes will say you stop doing business today until you can pay us, which for most of us that means the business is over. Because if this is how I'm feeding the family, I don't have an alternative.